Louisiana Beer Reviews, Special Edition number 23, Icehouse Edge Revisited, 8% alcohol. This beer, produced by the Plank Road Brewery of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in fact, the Miller Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in fact, South African Breweries of London, England. This particular high gravity lager was introduced in 2011. You might refer to this as an extra strong malt liquor. Miller is so proud of this beer that they don't even feature it or mention it or reference it in any way on their Miller Coors website, or on the Icehouse website for that matter. But it does exist. It is available in certain parts of America. And if I'm not mistaken, this is a slightly altered can design from the original 2011. I have to compare it to my original one that I bought right when it came out. Anyway, a lot of vapor coming out of this 24-ounce can. The original Icehouse debuted in 2003, and it was the first nationally available ice brewed beer, and that's 5.5%. And then the growing popularity of the high gravity lager segment, or the extra strong malt liquor segment, provoked or encouraged or whatever Miller SAB to introduce the Icehouse Edge. More than likely you won't see it anywhere, but because the availability is quite limited. I think it's only sold in one establishment in my town, but it is on the market. It gets a poor rating on Beer Advocate, as you would expect. A 4 out of 100 on Rate Beer, a 53 out of 100 for the style. Now that's interesting. It gets a 53 out of 100 for the style, but a 4 over 100 overall, and a very fine rating on the Beer and Me. Well, a 4 over 100 is ridiculous, of course. Let's check this out. It's cloudy, overcast, it's starting to rain. But we get a medium, standardized American-style lagerhead in a clear, golden appearance with streaming bubbles. Now, if you look carefully at the beer, and you can't, obviously, over the internet at a video, but if you get a hold of this and you pour it in a clear glass and you look at it, you're going to notice something. Like you're going to notice with most mass-produced lagers. If you get some decent amount of light through it, you're going to notice there is sediment. You're going to see lots of very fine particulate matter floating throughout. And I presume that's because there's only so much filtering that can be done with the beer. Anyway, so it looks nice in the glass. Let's see what this extra strong lager tastes like. It's only the second time in my life I've had it. Wait, I didn't do the taste. I drank a Green Flash Grand Cru a little while ago, so excuse me. Let's look at the aroma. Yeah, look at the aroma. That makes sense. It's musty. It's grainy. You get some grain husk. I would think that's the yellow corn grits in the husk. But interestingly, you don't get that sickeningly, sickly sweet grain husk aroma that you would get from a Melanie Brewing product or a City Brewing high gravity product. Those types of beers just right off the bat smell bad. But you know, you got to think about it. Miller is not gonna the Miller subsidiary is not gonna produce garbage. Okay, you may not like the style, but they're gonna have quality products on the market. So it is strong, it is musty, but it goes along with the style. Okay, I mean, you get up to 8% and with the lager ingredients, you're going to get that. The taste. Okay, here's where it really this particular beer shines to an extent. You're getting the grain. To some extent, you're getting a cloying sweetness with the corn and the barley. But it's not too strong and it's not too cloying. It's there. You pick up the alcohol. I mean, and this goes along with what I like about the malt liquor segment. It's just a bolder flavor. It's not so dull like Miller Lite. And I'm not disparaging Miller Lite. I used to really pick on Miller Lite, but that's before I got it. You know what I mean? I didn't really get the light beer thing. Although now I'm starting to come around to it. I understand that people like light-bodied beers, so I'm not so antagonistic toward light beers anymore. It's not a beer segment that I tend to care for, but I understand that it's popular. It's the world's most popular beer category. But the Icehouse Edge is certainly a worthy beer. It's not going to appeal to an enormous amount of people, but it does have its target audience, and all of its target audience does not have, every member of the target audience does not have a criminal background. They're not all on probation, and they don't all run a meth lab out of their home. Okay, so yeah, I think it's a pretty credible beer, and I think within its segment, it could win awards. Yeah, it's a niche beer, but also it's worth checking out. The finish, the body is light to medium, and the finish is crisp, clean, refreshing. It's mostly dry. Like I said, when I first did this in 2011, it's not something that's just thrown together without care. They took their time with it. I would love to go on a brewery tour in Milwaukee or one of their other breweries and try this on tap, fresh. I mean, the chances of seeing that are rare, slim. When I was on a brewery tour, I asked them, how come you don't do malt liquors on the, as far as the tap samples? They said, well, just aren't many people that would ask for it. Although, interestingly, if you go on the Miller tour in Milwaukee, which I've been on quite a few times, they do a pretty good amount of promotion of their malt liquor line. You'll notice that they really are proud of the malt liquor line that they produce, which I found was interesting. Anheuser-Busch, they don't refer to their malt liquor line at all on the brewery tour. If you ask them about it, they'll say, well, we do produce that. Although, when you go to the brewery in St. Louis, they've got all the beers they produced on display in glass cases, and certainly the malt liquors are quite prominently shown, so they do take some pride in it. I think part of the deal with that is that the girls who do the brewery tour, mostly they're daughters of guys who work at the brewery, they don't really know a lot about the beer. They just pretty much practice a script, and if you ask them questions that are off the script, they don't know how to answer because they probably can't answer. They probably don't know. You know how that goes. But anyway, how would I rate this beer? This is a difficult one to rate because it's so narrow in its appeal. But I'm going to go with a B plus. You could probably make the argument that it's higher than that because of the craftsmanship. Yeah, that's how you say that word. The craftsmanship that's involved with producing the product. So I think it would be fun to be on the floor of the brewery or whatever area that producing it. Yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun to do the malt liquors if you want to work for a brewery. So anyway, if you happen to see it, and chances are you won't, but if you do happen to see the Icehouse Edge, I highly recommend that you check it out. So look at it sweating. It's so humid and hot out here. Well, warm for January. So Laissez Le Bon Temps Roulé. This is really a very good beer. I'm impressed, and I have a lot of admiration for it, really. So be careful with it. It will it'll bring you down. It'll bring you to your knees if you gulp this. So it's not something to play around with. It's some serious stuff. So I'm going to end this review by saying y'all come on down to Southeast Louisiana.